Would have been better in a power park. I'll manage
That's
it.
good.
Yeah.
Well, I'm sure. Well, I'm sure.
You ready? I'd like to call to order the Properties, Environment, and Economic Development Committee. Roll call, please.
Mr. Erickson.
Here.
Mr. McCormick.
Here.
Mr. Beggs.
Here.
Mr. Hardy.
Here.
Mr. Walker.
Here.
Approval of the minutes from June 25th, 2026.
I'll make a motion to approve.
I'll second. Moved by Beggs, supported by Hardy. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carried. Would there be any changes to the agenda this morning? I'd like to add a short presentation by Mr. Keith Edwards from Pentwater Township.
What's the procedure for that?
That has to be approved by the majority of the board, or for addition, according to your policies.
I'll make a motion to approve the agenda as amended.
It's been moved by Beggs. I'll second. Supported by Hardy. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carried. Public comment. Will there be any public comment at this time? Mr. Jonason?
Yes. Yeah, my name's Phil Jonason. I acquired some property that my grandpa bought from Kerry Mears back right behind the Red Barn that I'm sure you commissioners are aware of. And that was in 2001. And ever since then I've been trying to save the Red Barn. I'm in the business of moving buildings and restoration and exactly what the old barn needs, or could even move it out of there across the road or something. But it's in dire need of a foundation. And the last time cattle were in there, my grandpa Glover, Phil Glover, he pastured cows in there, and there's actually evidence of the fencing that they had around the property back on my property, just north of Sandy Bend. And he pastured cows in there until the Armistice Day storm, and that was the last time that he had cows in there. So I'm sure that was the last time there was cows in the barn. And what happens when you take cows out of them old barns in the winter, the frost comes through from the inside and freezes a big gob all the way around the barn. And even if it moves a 32nd a year from the frost each year, eventually 30 years goes by and the wall moved an inch. So once that process starts, it accelerates. So that's why the barn's falling down, because nobody took care of it. And I do have a couple articles here. One's a 1967 in the Muskegon Chronicle. It's a historic Oceana barn is given recognition. Some guy named William wrote this, and it's kind of a history of the barn. Mears built the barn. He began his operations in 1855, and he built the barn in 1852, according to this article. No, 1859 is when he built the barn. Now, I know the sign out there says 1862 on it, but this sign that was erected in 67 says 59. But anyway, there's a lot of history, and it's a landmark. And the Glover family is my grandpa Glover. He was a pioneer fruit grower around here, and Nelson Glover would be my great-grandfather. He had the first white child born in Oceana County. Other than that, before that it was Indian territory. And there's just a lot of history on that end of the county, which I think is very significant, and the barn would be a perfect place to preserve that type of history. Pete Kaling's been after me from Paris. I'm not sure what his title is. What, do you know his title, Paul?
Yep, he's the manager of the Wildlife Division.
Anywhere, somewhere back in the last 20, 30 years, that got designated a game area, and I have a 40 back there that's called an in-holding. I'm inside of his game area. And he's really been, for 20 years, been chasing me around. And I told him, I says, I'd like to be compared to Mrs. Sargent up there, where they mined sand for 100 years south of Ludington State Park, and then she still sold it for $30,000 an acre. So I says, you insult me when you come and want to buy. Well, then the barn come up, they want to trade. And finally yesterday he called me again. He really must be getting pressure from somebody for something, but he's really interested in basically trading any piece of property that is suitable to fit within the Pittman Act parameters, which is a federal act that gives money to buy the property in the first place. So I'd encourage the commission to look at, in conjunction with whoever else wants to get involved, of finding a suitable piece of property that the state would be willing to change. I guess there's a 4-to-1 ratio, so they'll give you 5 acres for a 40, and 5 acres would make a really nice designation for a trail. The rail trail, everybody laughed at Bill Fields way back when that started, and it turned into a pot of gold basically for the whole county, for the whole area. And I feel that if the rail trail people took advantage of the barn section as type of a destination, camping type of area, or a lot of things could happen there. So I'd encourage the commissioners to, I'm sure been in your lap for off and on for the last few years, to take a better look at it and maybe work something out so the barn people would get out of your hair.
Thank you, sir. Thank you. And I'd like to also add, I've spoke with Mr. Kaling this week. He'll be retiring soon, and he's been on this for 20-some years. He would like to see a resolution, and I forwarded to the fellow commissioners the outline that has been provided to us with the Department of Natural Resources to get a permit for a 1-year period to weather the barn in and to make it secure so we don't have barrel fires in it, we don't have people in there camping and the potential to burn the barn down. So I had a very good talk with Mr. Kaling. But at this time I'd like to introduce Mr. Keith Edwards. And Keith has been working with Brentwater Township and also Weir Township in finding a resolution for the Red Barn. And Tracy has up on the screen what Keith brought today.
Thanks for your time this morning. I'll just be brief. Mr. Jonassen's a hard act to follow as it relates to the personal knowledge of this area. But if I could have the next slide, please, Tracy. Thank you. I don't have to remind you that Oceana County, of course, is right smack in the middle of West Michigan's agricultural operations. And the county website calls it the agricultural and recreational heartland of Michigan. Next slide, please. This provides us with quite a bit of an opportunity to recognize how following the lumber days that the location of this landmark represents an opportunity for recreation as well as putting forth education into our agricultural heritage as well. Next slide, please. This just dials down a little bit more on those same ideas, and of course you have the hard copy that you can look at later. And I want to get to the next slide, which is basically a map that shows the rough location of it. Up on the northwest corner of the map is Pentwater Township. And of course, the pink to the right is Weir Township, and we work together quite a bit. Right now, we have a partnership going between the two townships on our use of our transfer site. And the Red Barn actually is in Weir Township. It's not located in Pentwater, as though most people think. Yes, the Pentwater State Game Area is there, but portions of that sort of extend into Weir Township as well. But you can see how it's connected to the blue line being the trail, the Hart Montague Trail, and there are several county parks within close proximity of course, Hart, which is in the middle of the county, and then the Red Barn would simply add to that, but add another layer of cultural significance. Next, please. So these connections provide the opportunity for us to create sort of a cultural center for agriculture and recreation. It is also on Federal Bike Route 35, which comes down Long Bridge Road to connect with Monroe Road and heads on up all the way to the Mackinac Bridge. But it will provide opportunities for bicyclists and others to also connect with Shelby, Rothbury, New Era, and Hart. Next, please. So Pentwater Township, recognizing the importance of this site, and we have resources that are close by, such as the pedestrian walkways and fishing platform on Long Bridge Road, and then just to the south of that is Weir Road, of which the Pentwater Hart Trail is to be in that right of way, and it's an off-road trail that goes connects all the way to the Hart Montague Trail. And so we're proposing that at the future, again, that Weir Township and Pentwater Township would work together to establish a boardwalk with connections to the river and then ultimately to the Red Barn. Next, please. So up in the upper left-hand corner, we have some precedent-setting kind of opportunities which have informed the programming and the design guidelines for the future of the Red Barn site. There are several other organizations that might be interested in using the facility as well. The lower right-hand corner tells us or informs us how we might use the site, reuse it eventually, once it gets past this stage of just being weathered in and preserved. Next, please. This is the site plan, which is certainly just a draft and just in concept and just an idea, but it includes opportunities for preservation of our agricultural heritage, outdoor education, some opportunities for perhaps I forgot the name, but doing the hunter safety courses, some primitive camping, and whatever other uses there might be associated with that. And this has shown it to be about a 10-acre site. So hopefully that's what takes place in the future. If not, we can adjust. And then the last slide in here just shows you the state of the barn existing. And the biggest issue right now is trying to prevent the frost and prevent Mother Nature from absorbing it back into the landscape. That's all I have. If you have other questions for me, I'd be happy to take those.
Any questions? Thank you, sir.
Thanks.
Therefore, what I was hoping, I would bring this back to my fellow commissioners, that we might be able to pass a resolution, a motion at our 11:30 meeting to be the parent, to be the foster parent of the Red Barn for that period of time, to get it weathered in, and also to find a suitable party that's willing to take it over. Heather Douglas, the treasurer at Pentwater Township, used to work with the Community Foundation, and there still are funds within our Community Foundation to utilize with weathering in and caring for the Red Barn. I believe it's about $12,000 at this point in time. And then yesterday, towards the end of the day, I received a call from a gentleman and his wife. They're Pentwater summer residents, and they're very active in our community foundation and wanted me to know that there would be more dollars coming for the Red Barn. So it's my hope today that we're able to be the foster parent for the Red Barn for the period of time it takes to weather it in, and to pass that on to a new entity, whatever entity that may be. But, you know, Phil was right, Mr. Jonason was right. My Uncle Bill Fields sat in this chair 30 years, 40 years ago, and the fellow commissioners laughed him out of the room because he proposed the Hart Montague Rail Trail. But his wife was the clerk. But Uncle Bill got up from this room and walked out and got on the phone and bought that right away from the railroad with his own money. And therefore, after that was taken care of, he donated that to the state of Michigan to create that trail. And what the Pentwater Hart Trail Group has been doing, we've got that set up that the rail trail will continue all the way into Pentwater. And like Keith had said, Route 35 goes right on up through Buttersville, and Pere Marquette Township has plans to put a bridge over the PM River so that you'll be able to bicycle right downtown. So the future of bicycling is tremendous, and the Pentwater Watershed people, Pentwater Lake Association, you know, kayaking has become very popular, and both the south and the north branches of the Pentwater River are excellent kayak rivers. So I think the big picture, it's something we should do. I feel it's my duty to bring this to this board to save this Red Barn. It's the oldest structure in Oceana County, and it was Charles Mears' mark on the land. I was the president of the Oceana County Historical and Genealogical Society, and we've had gentlemen come up from Department of Natural Resources doing history studies on the Red Barn to find out more about peach propagation in Oceana County, and Charles Mears was the one that introduced peaches to Oceana County. There's a rich history, and I'm sure more will unfold. I do know that next month there will be a presentation at Epworth Heights on the life of Charles Mears and what he did in West Michigan. And then we'll have public comment and department head reports.
So there are 3 bids in your packet. I don't know if they won for Tri-Berry was clear, but the galvanized would be $18,818, the aluminum $19,246, and stainless $24,691. And then I got some additional information on the rectisteps. Those amounts are separate. It'd be either the $23,166 or $18,350. However, that does not include installation.
Paul, if I may, and that Erecta step is not stainless steel either. That's powder coated. They had another bid in there utilizing the current structure for $18,516, but I don't know how they would utilize the existing structure. And again, there's no installation in that, so it's like, you know, my opinion is that obviously with Tri-Berry, galvanized grating aluminum or stainless steel, I'd go with the stainless steel. I know it's a little bit more money, but not a lot. All the understructure beams and everything else are stainless steel, handrails are stainless steel, and you're done with it.
I think it'd be excellent
for a long time.
For the rest of our lives.
Yeah, anyway.
Yes, sir.
Paul, having been in the building industry and supply industry, the only thing I would ask is whoever we select to do this, that they have to come and measure for that themselves. That I would not want to see our maintenance people do the measurements and anything, because if they don't fit, that's a supplier, you know. When we're talking with this, it's everybody who's ever put in a stairway knows it's difficult to put in even a straight stairway. Joel, you were in the business for a long time. Would you concur with that?
Yeah, exactly. Yep. There's always seems to be a little issue there, so yeah, you want the field measure by the supplier.
An inch makes an awful lot in a stairway.
Thank you, sir.
Oh,
Yes, sir.
where are we at on removal of the existing, Tracy?
Next meeting.
Yeah, I do believe they have it scheduled for the end of this month. So it'll be done prior to our next meeting.
Okay.
They have it scheduled with the courts. They've talked with all of the courts just to make sure that we have nothing scheduled in there or in here, so that it's not gonna cause any issues when they're out there removing that stuff, so, yeah.
That's all I have.
Okay.
Oh, thank you. Yeah, I've been pretty happy with Tri-Berry, and it's hard to beat stainless steel at any rate. Department head reports. Yes, sir.
I apologize because I can't stay for the next part of the meeting because I have a public education event I'm supposed to be at now. So in regards to the Homeland Security grant that's going to be coming up on the agenda, this is a non-matching grant. This is the agreement with our fiduciary for Region 6. So there's no out-of-pocket money. It results about $12,000 when we get in. It provides public safety stuff. That's what we paid for our public mass alerting system, barricades, seaborne mass canisters, RTF kits. That's where all those money come that we supply to emergency services with that. But like I said, there's no out-of-pocket cost, no match for the county. It's something we vote on every year. I just wanted to let you know that the agreement is actually with the fiduciary for West Michigan Regional Medical Care, and who is the Region 6 Homeland Security fiduciary. So just so you guys know, that's the background on that. But I'm sure you're very well aware of it since it comes around every year. But if you have any questions, happy to answer them right now before I have to head out.
Any questions?
Thank you, and my apologies.
We'll take care of it.
Thank you.
You betcha.
That was shorter than last night.
Good morning.
Morning, Sheriff.
The Sheriff's Department, we're getting ready for our National Night Out coming up here in first of next month. So Under Sheriff and lieutenants have been working real hard on that, making sure everything's prepared for. The road patrol's busy with seasonal. You know, we've got a lot of tourists in the area, a lot of extra population in the area, so we do pick up a few extra complaints because of that. It's the same thing every year. And corrections, business is pretty steady, but our population is a little low considering it's July. We're in the 30s, which is kind of low for us right now, but it is what it is. That's fine. We can handle 30. Some. Other than that, I don't have a lot to report. Any questions for me?
It's been good. This summer's here.
Okay.
Thank you, Sheriff. Thank you, Sheriff. Mr. Kelly? You're a department head today.
Today, thanks. James Kelly, Michigan State University Extension. I came in initially wanting to share a hard copy of our quarterly report, which I will pass around. I'm also going to send the electronic version to Tracy again with the encouragement that you distribute that within your networks. And a bonus piece just of some upcoming programming, which again I hope has crossed your desk, but we're launching some educational opportunities related to renewable energy, so specifically looking at solar, wind and battery energy storage systems. So I won't go into that too much more, but it's designed for community members, elected officials, zoning administrators, so anything you can do to promote this as obviously a hot topic in a lot of communities, including yours, in terms of renewable energy. The final piece, though, which perhaps I'll just spend a little more time on, which has just kind of come into my world over the last few days. I wanted to just take a moment to talk about the millage proposal and share, in fact, let me, as I'm rambling on, share what we have put together as one of two pieces which we will be sending out to our stakeholders to educate the community on the importance of the tax allocation renewal. I've talked a little bit to Tracy, I've talked to some department heads, directors, I've talked to some community members in Oceana County, And I'll just share my perception as someone who gets to travel 5 counties, someone whose university world does take us into the world of millages in other parts of the state. That I'm a little nervous about the educational piece that's happening in Oceana County right now, understanding that this is a potential 61% of the general fund balance, which of course would be devastating not just to Extension but to multiple organizations and departments. And for that reason, I know there have been some articles in the paper, I know there was mention at a department head meeting, but we're trying to come up with, as part of our responsibility, with our own community education campaign. So as you folks well know, perhaps others in the community don't, because we benefit from those funds, we are not allowed to advocate for a yes vote. We cannot say that. The university has told us we can't even advocate for people to vote. We have a very strict conservative line. Other organizations might say it's okay to vote for their millage, but so for us, we will simply be saying on August 4th there is a very important millage that will potentially impact Michigan State University and the county. And this is what a yes vote means, and this is what a no vote means. And I've seen there was a one-pager that the county released to the department heads. You'll see this version is, I would suggest, maybe a little more simple language, perhaps a little easier to read, and that's the challenge, of course, is helping the public find the time to read and understand the millage. The millage proposal language itself is quite confusing, and I know you don't have a lot of control over that, but that's another area of concern for me, is just overcoming the confusion of someone seeing that for the first time and having no clue what it means. So these pieces are really important, and I've talked to a few folks, as I said, from economic development to other agencies that would be impacted by this. Some of them had no idea, and this is as of this morning, that this is even a thing. That's concerning 12 days before the vote. Others are not sure what they can do to educate the community. So I'm just standing up here to kind of raise the discussion again within the community and offer my help. I will send the 2 versions of this to Tracy as a resource that perhaps could be sent out to other agencies that are receiving funding as an example of, hey, just FYI, this is what MSU Extension is doing regarding this millage. If you choose to do something like that, that's your choice. Again, so you're not seen as advocating one way or the other, but kind of dispersing this information. We'll probably send it in some version as a press release, even though it's already been covered kind of from the broader county angle. I know there are other millages in the county, both county level and township, but I did want to just raise that observation at this point. And we will continue to reach out to the 4-H community. We're going to reach out specifically to our ag network, which of course is significant, and through the research station. And so we're going to jump in 150% on this, but I would love to hear of other agencies that are jumping in at 100% or even 50%, because I get nervous. And August is the time to get this through, right?
Right.
So I'll stop there, but I appreciate the time just to share that.
Paul, if I could just make a quick comment.
Yes, please.
I wanted to just mention to you that the state is very strict on the language that goes on the ballot.
Yep.
I know it's a difficult read, but that's how we had to put it on.
Yeah. No, so no criticism to the ballot language other than to the state that it's not,
confusing.
It's not very helpful.
No, it is confusing.
But to me, that just reinforces the importance of doing our education on the impact of voting one way or the other, and make sure that people do know what it means. Because the first time I read that, I kind of just shook my head, and I asked some other folks in the office, what does this mean? No one has a clue.
Yeah. Clear as mud.
For sure.
Thank you, Mr. Kelly. Would there be any more public comment? Yes, sir.
I'm Craig Matheson. You guys, my address, or what else do you need from me to start?
Name and address.
Okay, name and address. I live in Mason County right now, 4526 West Meisenheimer. However, my dad's 97, and may he live longer, but he's short in country. and I'll be moving into 116 Lowell in Pentwater when he passes away. My concern also is the Red Barn, and I just get concerned that there's meetings and people talking. I know there's a lot of good things, but my background is science. I'm a retired physician, was up in Scottsville for over 20 years. I personally feel with the Red Barn, I mean, a 1-year grant of weathering in from the state is fine. These other plans are just amazing. My concern is what happens if state or local or national government changes and they just decide no Red Barns and it's gone. I would like to see an entity formed soon, and I don't know whether that's got, I'm just a citizen, guys. I'm not, my dad's a lawyer. My brother was a lawyer. I don't understand medicine, I can talk about, but these other things, but forming a 501c3 and working with not Pentwater Foundation, Oceana County Community Foundation, and just getting 2 acres or 1 acre or 5 acres that are taken out of all the machinations of other things just to save the Red Barn. And honestly, I would just, if it's left up to me, I would just call it Save the Red Barn. I mean, let's keep it simple, guys. And I don't know, when I moved back from doing my training in Chicago, I moved to Fremont in '91. I remember, all of us have driven by that thing forever, and the roof was falling off. I sent a check to Buck Squires. I said, man, put a roof on it, and they did, but it's been like Band-Aids, and I think forming its own entity, I really don't, I haven't talked to anyone that says let's tear that puppy down, but apparently from other meetings I've been to, it's on a get rid of list or something. And again, I don't understand all of that, but I think the sooner you get it, weather it in, if you got to put a 6-10 foot fence around it, hopefully not concertina wire on top, but just, if it's gone, if it burns, all these plans are for naught. And, it's taken 10 years for extending Hart Montague up to Pentwater, and I think that's great. But my concern is it's like my dad. It's getting older, and one day it ain't going to be there due to whatever. What if lightning strikes it and takes it out this summer? But I guess that's my concern. I don't think fundraising towards it is going to be an issue, and certainly if people want to bring in commercial interests, but I just, we need to save it, and I think we need to get heading down that road. And I retired about 2.5 years ago, and I've been to a few meetings, and I think that's great, but I just feel the need to speak up on it, and I guess tell people what my thoughts are on doing it, and then do it. Happy to report to anybody once a month, but there's money apparently in the community foundation for it, and I'll talk to Greg Van Boxel, talk to whoever. I've got some funds, but I was in primary care, so I'm not living on the lake like a cardiovascular surgeon, okay? But I'd be happy to put my own money into forming the 501c3. I asked my dad about that. Like I said, he's a retired attorney, and he said, you're going to need an attorney, you're going to need an accountant, you're going to need a board. Okay, hopefully the board will volunteer, the attorney and accountant, that will cost something, but I think the sooner we get going on this, the better it is for the barn. And I just want to speak my mind on it, and I'm concerned that, 2036, the barn might not be here. And the sooner we do something about it, the better. And any questions from you guys? I mean, it's more of a statement, I guess, but my level of concern is raising, and I think we need to, go in what I personally feel is the proper direction. So, thank you for your time. I appreciate it.
Thank you, sir. Any other public comment?
Larry Dorn, Weir Township Supervisor. Now, I'd like to see that article again. The, I don't know, do you have it? Okay. First of all, Weir Township, there's been some concern that we have not stepped up to the plate. Some of the reason that being is the Red Barn doesn't have as much love from Weir Township as it does from Pentwater, because it's people coming in on 31, turning left, going to Pentwater. So I've been working with my board trying to get them to be the entity to go ahead and get the permit, but I'm struggling with them because they just don't, they don't see it. I mean, they turn right, they never turn left. As far as money, there is money out there. I have a gentleman that, and it's not Greg, another gentleman that's willing to do some things for it, but he doesn't want to be brought up at this time. I do support it. Weir Township is half supporting, and so we're looking for a larger group to at least take on the permitting, being the entity to take on the permitting, so we can figure this out. We've got a year, actually 2 years, I think, to figure it out.
2 years after the first year.
2 years after the first year to figure it out. Who's going to have that, how we're going to get around it. There's the Pittman, so there's federal monies in there, so that's the one thing that muddies the whole thing up. The state of Michigan would probably say, okay, for $1 million or whatever, we'll sell it to you, but you can't because of the federal monies that were in there. So it is the article that Mr. Jonathan had brought up. It did say Pentwater River House Farm Barn, a historical landmark in the Western Michigan. So that is recognized by the Conservation Department with the appropriate marker that they had put out there. So it does say that it is a historical building, which we've argued that point and been told no, it is not. But anyways, I'm in support of the Red Barn. We've had many meetings on it. Of course, there's a ton of opinions on how to do this, but you have to walk the line with the state. So it's not just taking over the Red Barn. But it is in desperate need of repair. Winter's coming, and so we are looking to find someone to go ahead and be the entity to support the permitting so that we can get some donations and get it moving. There's a very, Paul said there was like $12,000. I think it's closer to 14, but that's not enough to do much. We're talking in the six figures. So I'd appreciate it if you guys would take a look at it, and I thank you very much for your time. You guys have a good day, and I'll see you next meeting.
Thank you, sir. Would there be any other public comment at this time? Hearing none, we'll adjourn the Properties, Environment, and Economic Development Committee. Turn it over to Mr. Hardy.
Okay, moving on. I'd like to call to order the Finance and Administration Committee. May we have a roll call, please?
Mr. Hardy?
Yes.
Mr.
Here.
Beggs?
Here.
Mr. McCormick?
Here.
Mr. Erickson?
Here.
Mr. Walker?
Here.
I'd ask for approval of the meeting minutes from July 9th, 2026.
I'll make a motion to approve the minutes.
Motion by McCormick. Support by Beggs. Any questions? All in favor, aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same. Motion carried. Are there any changes to the agenda for Finance and Administration Committee? Any changes? Hearing none, I'll ask for approval of the agenda.
So moved. Walker.
Moved by Walker.
Support.
Support by Mr. Beggs. All in favor, aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same. Motion carried. Is there any public comment at this time for the Finance and Administration Committee? Any public comment? All right, hearing none. Mr. Maloney, I think, had another meeting to attend. Ms. Biard, do you want to talk about the Homeland Security grant approval?
Well, actually, he pretty much said it, and that was pretty much what I said to him. I don't know if we're going to get to you by 11 o'clock, so send me a snippet and let me know if you'd like me to read that, but he shared that with you during the last meeting.
So I can add a little bit. So
Okay.
as a local business owner, I sit on the local emergency planning team. I don't know, there's a LEPC and there's a LEPT. Anyway, I sit on the group that makes recommendations to Mr. Maloney on how to spend that money. Historically, it's been spent on Code Red, which is now defunct. We've gone to, I forget the name of the other system with the Sheriff's Department, but anyway, that's a good setup. So this money just goes to help support just emergency planning, whether it's communications. It's been used to purchase traffic barriers that are used. Currently, they're used often for fireworks and parades and stuff like that. They could be used in more emergent needs if needed. But just to administrate, I think Mr. Maloney mentioned bleed out kits for first responders and just various items like that. So the grant continues every year to get smaller and smaller, and it requires a great deal of reporting, so it does require a fair amount of work for Mr. Maloney to continue to maintain, but at this point, some money is probably better than none. So.
Yeah. Thank you. Any other questions, comments? All right, Ms. Biard, Administrator's Review of Selected Claims for Payment and Administrator's Report.
The claims for payment have been provided for you. Does anybody have any questions on those? If not, Administrator's Report has been provided in your packet. And I can say right now I'm just working on budget stuff, so that's pretty much been taking up a lot of my time, but we are headed in the right direction anyway.
Okay. Anybody have any questions? All right. Moving on, department head reports. Any department head reports? Have we heard from everybody already? Any public comment at this time for Finance Administration Committee? Man, this is quick. Hearing none, we will adjourn the Finance Administration Committee and we'll take a break till 11:30 to start the regular meeting.